What's up everyone, and welcome back for another tasty recipe. But before I give you this recipe, make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel, Kara Fit Life. And if you're feeling frisky, hit that notification bell so that you can get notified for each of my new videos that are going to be uploaded. I've got a great combination of fitness, nutrition, and just a lot of non-BS information. So for today's video, we are actually going to do a vegan recipe because Marc came out with the new vegan protein Vitam, and I got this in the chocolate, and everyone's been begging me to do some recipes that are vegan. So today we are going to make some delicious chocolate vegan brownies, and these are going to have pretty healthy ingredients to it. So to get started, you're going to want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and for my brownies I'm using a 9x13 cake pan, and you can either spray this guy down, or I'm gonna use some parchment paper because it's just less cleanup, and that's how I live my life. I need it convenient. So we're gonna set that aside. You're gonna need 2 mixing bowls, and we're gonna start with mixing our wet ingredients first. So for that, we are gonna use some milk that I already have measured out here, and I'm using cashew milk in a little bit more than 1 full cup of cashew milk. So we're gonna throw that in there. And for our fat source for this recipe, we are going to use some coconut oil. So I went ahead and melted 70 grams of coconut oil. So that's already melted, and I'm just going to go ahead and dump that into the milk. And we're going to use a tablespoon of pure vanilla extract. I'm going to make sure I measure that out because I have a tendency to pour way too much in there. That's going to go in there. And then not a wet ingredient, but the last thing we're gonna add to the wet ingredients that does add some health properties for us, I'm gonna use some golden flaxseed. If you guys have ground up flaxseed, you can use the ground up as well. I just happen to have the whole flaxseed on hand. Or you can omit this altogether if you don't want to, but this is gonna add a nice source of fiber and heart healthy fats to the recipe. So I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 full tablespoon of the flax seeds. After adding that, I'm just gonna whip that together just a little bit. Where to begin? So next, in our other bowl, we're gonna mix all our dry ingredients together. We're gonna start with the protein. Like I said, I'm using this in chocolate, doing a chocolate brownie. If you guys have this in vanilla, you could use that too, but it's just not gonna have as much of a fudgy flavor. So I'm gonna use 2 full scoops of this, and this has 21 grams of protein per scoop. So I've got that measured out, the 2 scoops. I'm gonna pour that in there. Next, we are going to use for flour. I just happen to have on hand whole wheat flour. It's one of my favorites to bake with, quite honestly, but you could do a gluten-free flour if you need to, oat flour or something of that nature. And we're doing 1 full cup of wheat flour. I can taste the chocolate in there. Like it entered my mouth and it tastes delicious. Do you see it flowing here still? Next up, to add that fudgy flavor to it, in addition to the chocolate protein, we're gonna also use just the cacao. I'm gonna call it cocoa powder, right? Bear with me on that. We're gonna use a 1/2 cup of that. If you're using a vanilla protein, you could double this if you want and add a full cup. We're gonna do a 1/2 cup though for today. And for sweetness, your girl likes it sweet, so we're doing a combination of just regular Splenda. We are adding in a 1/3 cup of our Splenda. And then I'm also going to use the Splenda brown sugar. This is very tasty. So I'm going to use a 1/2 cup of the packed it in a 1/2 cup. 1/2 cup of Splenda brown sugar. Now we're going to add just a little bit of salt, and I'm just going to use some of this pink salt. I'm just going to do a couple cranks of that. That looks good. Looks right. And we are going to use some baking powder to make it rise. We're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon, which I don't seem to own, so I'm using a 1/4 teaspoon and doubling it. Just want to clarify that so you don't get confused. And that is all our ingredients for the dry. So we're going to go ahead and mix up our dry ingredients. Once we have the dry ingredients mixed, you're just going to go ahead and dump in your wet ingredient mixture. Do it a little bit at a time and start stirring this around. So once you've got your batter all mixed around, you're just going to dump that onto our parchment paper or into your baking pan, and then level it all out. All right, so I've got my brownies all leveled out in the pan. I'm gonna add it to the oven at 350 degrees. I'm gonna bake it anywhere between 16 and 20 minutes. I like my brownies a little bit more undercooked, so just check on them and take them out when you're ready. All right, guys, I took my brownies out at about 15 minutes, and I'm not gonna cut them just yet because they do still, if you touch them, they do kind of still feel very soft. But like I said, I like mine tasting a little bit more fudgy and underdone. So what I'm gonna do is just pop these in the fridge for a few hours before I go ahead and cut them. These will last in your fridge for like 3 to 4 days, or you can go ahead and freeze them and just take them out as you need to. I think you guys are gonna really enjoy this recipe, so make sure you give it a try. And if you're not using the new vegan protein, you can sub in whey protein for the same serving size that we used here today. So I hope you guys like this video. We'll see you in the next one.